All right, let's move on down the line to Exhibit S3 regarding Cellebrite.
Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false. You knew that was false. For anybody who had never heard that before, that question is now planted into them, unqualified representation that Mr. Kohberger stalked one of the witnesses, and that's false. We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122. But we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. We have received about 116 pages worth of new information. We started with Exhibit S2, which happened to be a little more information regarding the AT&T timing advance records. It looks like this, and I will have a link for it down in the description box. Let's just go ahead and jump straight into the next one. This is the rebuttal expert disclosure of Jeffrey Tanzola and Heather and Jared Barnhart, also known as Exhibit S-3. To the extent Carol Peden intends to offer opinions on any of the topics listed in her disclosure, the state does not believe those opinions have been properly disclosed under Rule 16, which means the state cannot and is not required to disclose rebuttal testimony. It mentions ICR 16b7 and says this subsection does not require disclosure of expert witnesses, their opinions, the facts and data for those opinions, or the witnesses' qualifications, intended only to rebut evidence or theories that have not been disclosed under this rule prior to trial. Anticipated rebuttal testimony. In response to the defendant's expert disclosure for Carol Peden, and in addition to previously disclosed testimony, the state may call Jeffrey Tanzola and the Barnharts as expert witnesses to respond, rebut, and testify in response to Peden's disclosure as follows. Overall, Peden's disclosure does not contain any substantive opinions to rebut, nor any facts or data for any opinions, other than the reference to eraser.dll file discussed below. I don't know what that is, but it's below, so we'll figure it out together. In order to sufficiently rebut the disclosure, our experts would need the following information as noted below: the examination and analysis of the data or lack of data on the Windows PC and laptop belonging to the defendant. And remember, they didn't find anything on any of his electronics, on any of his history that led to any connections to the victims, to the house, to Dylan or Bethany, to any of it. He actually didn't even Google the crime itself until 11/16, which also happens to be the same day of the very first press conference. So just keep that in mind. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, definition if this is one system or 2, and which computers are being tested to, and what specifically about the examination and analysis is Peden going to testify about. 3, what does Peden mean by data or lack of data? User behavior, actions, and patterns seen upon review of the Windows PC and laptops seized in this case. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, definition of if this is one system or 2, 2, which computers are being testified to, and what specifically about the examination and analysis is Peden going to testify about, and 3, what specific behavior, actions, and patterns were seen upon review. The use of virtual private networks or VPNs, browsers, apps, and software programs on the devices seized in this case. Everyone should use a VPN. Literally everyone should use a VPN on all of their electronic devices, on your phone, on your iPads, on your tablets, on your computers, on your laptops, and on any device you can put a VPN on. You should use a VPN. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding, again, some of the same things, same concept when it comes to these questions as the other ones. What specifically about the use of a VPN is she going to testify about, and what devices? 2, what specifically about the use of browsers is she going to testify about and what devices? 3, what specifically about the use of apps is she going to testify about and what devices? And lastly, number 4, what specifically about the software programs is she going to testify about and on what devices? Number 4, the use, activity, movement, and habits on Bryan Kohberger's laptop computer, desktop computer, and mobile devices. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, what specifically about the use, activity, movement, and habits on Bryan Kohberger's laptop computer is she going to testify about? Number 2, what specifically about the use, activity, movements, and habits on Bryan Kohberger's desktop computer is she going to testify about? And the exact same thing when it comes to mobile devices. Number 5 is the use, activity, and movement on Bethany Funk's, Dylan Mortenson's, Madison Mogen's, Xana Kernodle's, Kaylee Goncalves', and Ethan Chapin's mobile devices. I would really like more of Bethany Funk's phone information. The same style that we've gotten Dylan's, at least, would be awesome at this point, but yet we've gotten nothing. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, what specifically about the use, activity, and movement on the specific mobile devices is she going to testify to? Number 2, if defense referencing more than one device, which devices? Number 3, what specifically about the use, activity, and movement on Bethany Funk's iPad is she going to testify about? What specifically about the use, activity, and movement on Bethany Funk's social media is she going to testify about? Yeah, I would really like to see all of this, especially, again, because we haven't received hardly anything when it comes to Bethany. So we have social media of Bethany's and movement on her actual iPad that we have not seen anything about. Number 6, Ms. Peden may testify about findings, impressions, and/or conclusions drawn from the work of other experts who previously examined or handled the evidence in question. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding specifically what findings, impressions, and/or conclusions drawn from the work of other experts is she going to testify about. Number 7, interpretation of cellular data that might be relevant in this case, such as browser history, communications, social media, pictures, videos, location data, log files, if the file activity was consistent with witness statements, and any missing data based on these statements. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, was any file activity identified that might be relevant in this case, such as browser history, communications, social media, pictures, videos, location data, log files, and that was 2, if any file activity identified that was consistent or inconsistent with witness statements, and what 3, if missing data identified, if so, what? In other words, they were looking for any connection, which we already know this, but, just to summarize this very strangely worded little paragraph here, they were looking for anything and everything they possibly could to have a connection between Kohberger and the residents of that house and the house itself, and they could find absolutely none. Number 8, eraser.dll file on Bryan Kohberger's Acer laptop. The state's experts will testify erasers DLLs were found on 11/16/22, but the experts couldn't find any prefetch associated with it being run. This artifact may be associated to a virus scan that was done on 11/16/22. Okay, so I asked, what is eraser.dll? It says it's a DLL file associated with the eraser library. Well, I don't know what a DLL file is. DLL stands for Dynamic Link Library, a file format used in Microsoft Windows operating systems. It is a shared library that contains code, data, and resources like functions, icons, or images that multiple programs can use simultaneously. The DLL files enable dynamic linking, meaning the code is loaded into memory only when needed, reducing the size of executable files and optimizing memory usage. So it basically helps store certain things that multiple programs constantly use so that it takes less time for them to load and they run more smooth, is what it sounds like. Now, it says that this type of file is associated with something called the Eraser library. So I went to their website, and it says that this is a free software and its source code is released under general public license. This erases files completely. It allows you to completely remove sensitive data from your hard drive by overwriting it several times with carefully selected patterns. I've also noticed this is a very popular tool. A lot of people use this. A lot of companies use this program. I know in my line of work under HIPAA, a lot of our stuff we have to constantly type in. We're not allowed to keep any settings to where passwords populate or names populate or anything like that. I'm pretty sure that at the end of the day, when our sessions close out, something like this goes in and overwrites literally everything. Because when I tell you nothing gets saved, nothing gets saved. Nothing in way of our browsing history ever saves. Like, we have a list of websites and things that we use, and of course there's separate programs for like our passwords and things like that, but when it comes to our actual browser, none of this stuff is auto saved. Everything is completely erased and deleted, and we have to retype in everything. So I don't know if that's sort of like the same thing or if it goes deeper than that or whatever, but this looks like it is something that not only is pretty popular for keeping your data completely safe, I guess, because you don't want anyone hacking your information and getting all your information off of your system either. So it can go both ways. I guess you can think of it as a way for someone to hide something, or you can just say, hey, this person's really smart in protecting their own information, which is something that I talk about a lot over here.
As you can see, I have 40 images on my USB stick. I will delete them in a regular way. Right click and delete. Now I will use Disk Digger so you can see that those files can be recovered. In just few seconds, it already found those pictures. What you have to do in this situation is to download Eraser. Open Eraser and right click on the white background and click New Task. Select Run Immediately and click on Add Data. On target type, select Unused Disk Space, select partition you want to wipe out. And the erasure method should be US Air Force 3 passes. You can select any method you want, only one pass should do a great job, but if you think that is not enough, you can select up to 35 passes. It took 90 minutes to erase unused space on 32 GB USB drive. Let's see the final results. Did I manage to securely delete unused space?
But there is something that gets said here in a second in this document that's interesting, so let's just go ahead and continue. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, the significance of the eraser.dll file, 2, how was eraser.dll used? Well, it says here that it apparently wasn't. And 3, what is meant by suggested use by the state's expert? And 3, is it Peden's opinion this was anti-forensics? Well, this right here is interesting, the suggested use by the state's expert. That's almost like they're saying the defense is claiming that one of the state's experts actually used that file, and that's why there's traces of it. Almost, right? Like, that's kind of what it sounds like. I don't remember reading that anywhere, but that sure is what it sounds like. Now, this anti-forensics verbiage we have heard before, but again, for people to clear out their files, to have dates scheduled for their systems to be cleaned out, that's so freaking normal. It's not even anything to be discussing. On top of that, this was, as far as we understand, a school-assigned device, meaning that there was a special network that was having to be signed into, and there was a special IT department that would be who you would contact in case you were having issues. That's how normally these assigned computers work. You can't just go in and have full administrative access for the most part. There's an IT department that has the most access. Okay, number 9. All forensic data extractions and social media applications provided in discovery for Bethany Funk, Dylan Mortensen, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Goncalves, and Ethan Chapin. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1. What is she going to testify about forensic data extractions? 2. What is she going to testify about the social media applications? Yeah, especially when it comes to Bethany and Dylan. Especially Dylan. Now, that was their rebuttal for Carol Peden. Now, this is their rebuttal for Kevin Peden. So let's see how much of this is actually different, because I don't know what Kevin would have been testifying to versus what Carol would have been testifying to. So let's take a look. Overall, Peden's disclosures does not contain any substantive opinions to rebut, nor any facts or data for any opinions, other than the reference to eraser.dll file discussed below. Number 1, digital programs, software, browser, and application, general use and purpose. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding what opinions he will offer. Forensic examinations and tools used by examiners. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding what specifically is he going to testify about regarding forensic examinations. Number 2, his opinion on how a forensic examination should be conducted. Number 3, tools he's going to testify about that were used and by which examiners. Number 4, how he believes the tools function. 5, what opinions will he offer? Well, honestly, the state should have this information about the tools that were used that he's going to talk about and the people, aka the examiners, that use those tools. That should all be stuff that the state would probably have to hand over in discovery, yeah? Number 3 is third-party digital data. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, his definition of third-party digital data. Number 2, does this include data from third-party applications and or software? Number 3, which devices? 4, which applications or software does he plan on testifying about? And 5, what opinions will he offer? Number 4, life patterns based on digital usage as appropriate to meet the state's evidence. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, what specific life patterns, 2, based on what digital usage, and 3, what device and specifically what usage, 4, what opinions will he offer? Now, when it comes to, let's just say, digital usage and specific life patterns, we know that when the Barnharts first came out, they basically were pulling the same crappy ass narrative as Trashley Bandfield when it comes to him talking to his parents a lot and having a healthy relationship with his parents and calling his dad a lot and calling his mom a lot and having conversations with his family, the way that he spoke to them, how often, all the things. They acted like that was a bad thing because he called his parents the day of the crimes and there was all these conversations and they tried to say, oh, why would he be calling his parents at 6 o'clock in the morning? Why would he be talking to them for hours at a time so early in the morning? But then they also slip up and say that having these types of, conversations and close-knit conversations with his family was a normal thing for him, showing that there were no behavioral changes that day for him at all. He got up and did what he normally did. And also there's a huge time zone difference between where he is in Washington and where his parents were in Pennsylvania. That's literally the opposite sides of the country. Number 5, eraser.dll file on Bryan Kohberger's Acer laptop. And again, it gives the exact same 2 paragraphs as in the other document. Number 6, use of virtual private networks. Same thing technically when it comes to this being called anti-forensics, I guess. Not really, because even though you use a VPN, people that have the right software, people that have the right credentials can still find out exactly where you are regardless of the VPN. Like, they pretend like they can't. Let's be serious. They totally freaking can. But it's still something that any regular person should definitely use. It says here that masking the IP address can anonymize who is using the internet and the location where the internet is being accessed from. It is the state's expert's opinion. This is why the VPN was used in this case. This can also be used as anti-forensics. And again, I have VPNs on everything I can possibly have a VPN on. And if you're not using a VPN, you really, really should be. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, how the encrypting of the data prevents the slowing down of internet speeds with internet service providers. Every device that I've had runs a tiny bit slower when the VPN is active. I've never had it do the opposite, so okay. Number 2, what factual basis does he have to indicate that the VPN was used for preventing the slowdown of internet speeds in this case? 3, what factual basis Peden has to indicate that the VPN was used for unblocking streaming content in this case? Now that one's really interesting. So VPNs can be used for you to be able to access shows in other countries that your own country doesn't have. Now I've never had to do that because there hasn't been anything that I've wanted to watch that wasn't allowed in the US or wasn't playing in the US and was only in certain countries. But I know a lot of people that do have a VPN so that they can watch TV shows or movies that are only unlocked, let's say, over in the UK or over in Germany or something like that. And for some reason, it's just not scheduled to be in the United States anytime soon. You can change your location, re-log in, refresh your screen, and it will show you shows that are open and available in another country that are not currently available to watch in the US. This is very true. So what are they trying to say when they're using it in this case? Because they're saying for unblocking streaming content in this case. So something that was unblocked by the use of a VPN is related to this case, and it was something that was streaming. Now, I will say, even though I have never believed this rumor or felt like there was any truth to it, my personal self, there are a lot of people that think that there was some sort of fight that was live streamed, or that the crime itself was possibly live streamed to a private audience, that something was live streamed. There are a lot of people at the grub truck in their phones. There's certain conversational pieces being picked up. Like, I can see all of the pieces of what people are putting together, just sort of come up with that. Plus, we know how these colleges are. We just know a lot about how these colleges are, especially over the past year or so. There's been a lot of stuff about situations with colleges, underground things happening, and fraternities and all kinds of things. We should probably actually start touching on a few more of those things because it really probably has so much to do with what actually happened here. Like, it's not even funny. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I know it's going to end up being a conversation in the comments, because it's been a conversation for some years now. I don't know what it means here, but there is that rumor that's been going around for a while. But also keep in mind here that in this paragraph about VPNs, it's not clarifying whose VPN. It's just talking about how a VPN does certain things, but it's not talking about what this means in way of who. Could it be victims' phones? Could it be Bethany's phones? Could it be Dylan's phone? Could it be Kohberger's phone? It's not specific, but that's a very interesting little use of words there. Okay, number 4, what factual basis Peden has to indicate that the VPN was used for preventing data interception from third-party software and applications in this case. 5, what factual basis does Peden have to indicate that the VPN was used for accessing public Wi-Fi hotspots safely in this case? And 6, what does safely mean in regards to accessing public Wi-Fi hotspots? There is really nothing safe whatsoever about accessing public Wi-Fi hotspots. Now, I don't claim to know everything, so this is where I'm not sure how this works. If you are accessing a Wi-Fi hotspot in public that has no password, that means you have to be physically within a certain number of feet or yards of the Wi-Fi router in order to actually access, log in, well, not log in because they're public, but access and use that Wi-Fi. So if you have a VPN, I don't see how having a VPN on your phone that says that you're in Chicago, but you're sitting at a McDonald's in Washington, D.C., how the public Wi-Fi being at a location in Washington, D.C. isn't once instantly shown regardless of what your VPN says. Does that make sense? So I'm not sure how that stuff works. I don't see how that would work. If somebody can summarize it down in the comments, that would be beautiful, but I just don't see how having access to a very specific location's public Wi-Fi could be masked by a VPN, since you have to be literally in that vicinity actually. Does that make sense? Number 7, use of incognito browsers to keep user activity private and to protect personal information. The state's experts will testify people use incognito browsers to keep user activity private and to protect personal information. The state's experts will testify incognito browsers can be used to mask identity and not leave a browser history. This would be a form of anti-forensics. I mean, no, not really. It's a form of, I don't want Google tracing every little damn thing I do, but we already know from a mass lawsuit that came out that doing incognito doesn't actually mask anything, that Google still was able to track your information.
In 2020, a lawsuit was filed against Google, claiming that the tech giant was collecting data from users browsing in incognito mode. The plaintiffs argued that Google was still tracking and gathering browsing history despite promises of privacy. Google recently decided to settle. It's taking steps to rectify the situation, including rewriting their disclosures. Google is deleting billions of records of web browsing data collected under incognito mode, affecting potentially 136 million users.
I mean, go ahead and give that one a Google by itself. It's all out there. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, the context, 2, which device or devices is he referencing in regards to the use of incognito browsers, 3, what factual basis does he have to indicate that incognito browsers were used for keeping user activity private and to protect personal information in this case. Now, number 8 is talking about Google Maps and the cache file regarding storing portions of map data such as tiles of locations, searches, search suggestions, reviews, and recent directions. Now, remember when I contacted Cellebrite myself and asked for the Google Drive link with the information, they gave me this, while also coming out here and claiming there's no proof that he actually typed in the Mad Greek, that this was like a restaurants nearby, restaurants near me type situation, and nothing specific, nothing that he was actually searching for with direct arrows pointing to the Mad Greek or anyone else associated with the Mad Greek. Let's keep that portion in mind. The state's experts will testify the Google Maps cache file stores portions of map data such as tiles of locations, searchers, search suggestions, reviews, and recent directions. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, the context, 2, the relevance to the case, 3, what device or devices are they referring to as Google Maps, because you can access it from several devices. Okay, so that seems to end right there abruptly, if you ask me. But now we're going on to the last 2 pages. And again, we're doing these 3 exhibits together because they're all written by the same 3 people in their rebuttal expert disclosures for the exact same technical subject. Okay. To the extent Josiah Roloff intends to offer opinions on any of the topics listed in this disclosure, the state does not believe those opinions have been properly disclosed under Rule 16. Okay, so it's the exact same thing again. So let's just go ahead and get down to the specifics here. Number 1, how digital devices are forensically extracted, subsequent extracted data examined, and specifically about the tools utilized in the various digital forensic capacities. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1, what specifically is he going to testify about regarding how digital devices are forensically extracted, 2, which devices is he testifying to, 3, what specifically is he going to testify about regarding subsequent extracted data, 4, what specifically is he going to testify about the tools utilized, 5, what does he mean by various digital forensic capacities? Number 2, how information is stored on a digital device and conclusions that can be drawn from various log files that demonstrate how a device is configured. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1. What specifically is he going to testify about regarding how information is stored on a digital device? 2. What conclusions are drawn from various log files regarding the device configuration? 3. Specifically, which log files is Roloff referencing? And 4. Which devices were these log files obtained? Number 3. Different kinds of digital forensic extractions performed on devices during the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Kohberger. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1. What specifically is he going to testify about regarding the different kinds of digital extractions? And 2. From which devices? Number 4, analysis of the produced electronic data sets has been conducted to analyze and create timelines, review the context surrounding specific activities, and generate patterns of life conclusions. To sufficiently rebut, the state needs information regarding 1. What specific electronic data sets did Roloff analyze? And 2. What is the timeline? 3. What context are they referencing, and what are the specific activities? And 4, conclusions regarding patterns of life. And that is it. This was 9 pages out of the 116 that was dedicated to this specific set of information, and all written by the same 3 people. So, let me know what you guys are thinking about this stuff down in the comments, and just keep in mind, again, that I do have a Google Drive where the Cellebrite information that I was sent has been posted for you guys to view and do with whatever you want to. I'll have a link for that down in the description box. And also keep in mind this statement.
We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
This is extremely important because they have not been able to find any connections. They cannot put him in that area. They cannot put him into even knowing that any of these people existed until after the crimes took place. And that should disturb everyone, that not a single trace of anything can be found. With Homeland Security, the FBI, MPD, ISP, Pennsylvania, so many different departments and people with so many different resources, and high-end resources at that, and nothing could be found because there's simply nothing there. But again, let me know what you guys are thinking about all of this down in the comments. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already, and please don't forget to make sure that the notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.